Today we are taking a look at the newly released GMMK3. This particular one is the GMMK3 Pro HE Wireless Edition. This is the 65% size. And HE, meaning this is their new Hall effect model. If you're not familiar, Hall effect switches use a little magnet to register the keystroke rather than two metal prongs that go into the PCB. I'll show you a better look at those here in just a second. If you're unfamiliar with Hall effect switches, here's what they look like. So you can see it doesn't have the normal two metal prongs that stick out the bottom. This particular one is completely flat, but the little magnet there that you can see, that's how the board recognizes the actuation. The board reads that little magnet's movements, and that's how a Hall effect switch works. These are also both Hall effect switches. This is a Gatoron Jade linear, and you can see it looks a little bit different. It's got two of the prongs on the bottom, and this portion is covered. And then this is a Drunk Deer switch from their A75 board, also a linear, and it's got a center post. So not all Hall effect switches are the same, but the idea of how they work is basically the same. Now, on this note, I tried both of these switches on this board, and I couldn't get either one to register. So some of you may be disappointed by that fact. Glorious does include a selection of other Hall effect switches, all of which have an open bottom to the magnet. So maybe that has something to do why the other switches that I tried to use didn't work, because none of them, this one has the prong in the middle and this one is just sealed. So maybe that's why those two didn't work. I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know. So this is what it looks like. Ignore this little gold escape key here. That was not on the board initially. It's one I have since stuck on there. So just ignore that little guy. Don't worry about that little guy. First thoughts, just based on feel and appearance and that sort of thing, are good. It's very heavy. It's an aluminum case. The bottom and top are both aluminum. Like I said, quite heavy. The back has their kind of, not engraved, but I guess embossed Glorious logo. The little I/O port where you plug it in has this nice metallic gold plate on it that also matches this little plate here, which is removable, by the way. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Just a little magnet holds it on. This board does have a knob for volume, whatever you want to switch it for, or whatever you want to set it for, I should say. On the back, which I will show you a bit better here in just a second as well, on the I/O port, there's a switch to change from Windows to Mac, and then also between 2.4 gigahertz wired and wireless. It does have RGB. I'm not going to go into great detail in all of the RGB settings because, well, you know what it looks like. Most RGB keyboards have similar settings. This is no different. In their program, Core 2.0, I believe it's called, you can set individual key colors and all that good stuff. It has multiple zones. You can also set a different RGB color for the badge light here. So if you wanted, let's say, all of this to be green and the badge to be blue, you can do that. It does have separate RGB zones here on each side, so you can set those independently as well. Construction-wise, I'm going to read off the box because I'm lazy, but I'll show you a picture as well while we go through this. So like I said, top and bottom plates are aluminum, and it also has sound dampening foam kind of sandwiched on either side of the PCB. And it also has O-rings where the screws for the board go in the corners here. There are O-rings between them, which further helps kind of dampen any kind of vibrations or sounds that may carry through the board. It also has an aluminum switch plate. So aluminum everything, which lends to how heavy this thing is. It's hard. I'm tempted to actually weigh it because it is not light. It could be used as a weapon. It comes with PBT double shot caps. They are shine through. And then it comes, of course, with the Glorious Hall effect switches. It is customizable as far as the actuation goes in the Core 2.0 program. You can set actuation limits for these from, I think, 0.1 millimeter or something like that, maybe 0.4. 0.1 millimeter up to 4 millimeter. So very similar to Wooting, Drunk Deer, or all of the other Hall effect keyboards that are coming out these days. I feel like that's kind of the next big trend is Hall effect boards, which I don't have a problem with. They're nice to use. Setting the actuation is nice. It's a nice thing to be able to do if you want them to be ultra responsive or slightly less. This particular board comes with their Fox linear switches. Okay, so here's a little better look at the board itself. I went ahead and pulled one of the switches here. So you can see there, these look remarkably similar to a standard PCB hot swappable board with 5-pin compatibility. And that's because these are compatible with standard switches as well as Hall effect, which as far as I know, this is the first board to do that, but I could be wrong. I could just be uneducated. So if Wooting or other keyboards allow you to use both standard switches and Hall effect, feel free to let me know in the comments. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. So that is really cool, though, that you are able to use standard switches as well as Hall effect. All you have to do is when you switch to standard switches, use their program, the Core 2.0 or whatever it is, to recalibrate whatever switches you put in, and you should be good to go. Okay, I switched up the audio a little bit, but here's a little sound test because I know people will want to hear what they sound like. I also have some plans for switching out the keycaps on this particular board from a company called Aw Keys. They're sending me out a set of full metal keycaps to kind of test and review. And this is the board I'm going to be putting them on. They're going to be a metallic gold that should match this badge and the back plate just about perfectly. I think they're going to be like a shiny gold, and they're actually all metal keycaps. So it should improve the sound profile and the overall look. I think it's going to look absolutely sick. This is not one of them. This is just a little extra aluminum cap I had from a while back that I stuck on. But I think with these being all full gold, it's going to look super dope. So look forward to a video coming out for those as well, where I'll do a full review on their particular keycaps. It'll be on this board, so I think it's going to look pretty sweet. So stay tuned for that. It should be super dope. Don't know if I'm going to get a knob to switch it out. I may go all gold keycaps and leave the black knob on there. I haven't really decided yet. So the BoardSmith, what I was talking about, you can fine tune or you can build if you're going to order one of these and you don't want to do all the work yourself, essentially, or order everything individually. There's a series of featured boards. Random Frank P's got one, for example, and a bunch of other creators and people like that. You can choose the boards that they designed on here, or you can start your own. And basically, this allows you to pick out top plates, keycaps, switches, badges, knobs, all of that kind of stuff. So kind of cool if you don't want to necessarily order all the parts yourself and build it yourself, which I personally would recommend doing just because it makes it, I don't know, that much more of an experience. That's just, I don't know. It's more fun if you build it yourself, right? Rather than it just showing up at your door. So when you start the BoardSmith program, you can choose your language: English, UK English, German, Nordic, French. You choose your board size: 65, 75, or like I said, they also offer a full size now, which is nice. So let's do 75%. You can choose wired or wireless, hot swap MX or Hall effect. The Hall effect ones, you can also use MX switches in, but it's going to crank up the price quite a bit. North facing or south facing LEDs if you go standard. So let's move forward to the bottom case. You can choose the bottom, all sorts of different colors, metallics, plastics. I also like that they included XO purple, which is kind of like the old school transparent purple plastics you saw on a lot of consoles and controllers back in the day. And there's several different plastics as well, different colors. Pretty cool. I personally like the metallics. Sage green. Let's just go next. So then you can pick the top trim case. Basically, you can do the same color or different depending on, you know, what kind of vibe you're going for. And then all of your different switches. They have linears, tactiles, clickies, or you can get it no switches, which takes some money off. Let's go Mako standard MX. Great. And then you can choose your keycaps if you want some of their limited edition offerings or something more basic. Once you pick your keycaps, then you can pick the actual badge. Let's go Vault Lime, or let's go Sage Green to match the bottom. So you pick your badge, you pick your knob color. So pretty cool. And then you can even pick a cable to go with it. They have different coiled cables in different colors. So lots of options there. So if it's something you don't want to build yourself, there is an absolute crazy amount of options to build on their website, and you can have a custom keyboard shipped directly to your door, which I think is pretty cool. You can change, here's the different gasket modules: firm silicone or a flex pour-on silicone. And then you can also change the switch plate as well, aluminum. They also have polycarbonate and FR4, so lots of options there. So then you go overview. For example, this particular board would cost $380, but it's built exactly how you wanted it. Pretty cool option if you don't want to dick around with building one yourself. I think it's pretty neat. You can name it, and then you can also share your design. So you can design one and share it on your social medias or do whatever. And then other people can bring it up and they can order the exact same board if they want. So pretty cool. I think it's a nice touch that they added the BoardSmith. But overall, as far as the GMMK3 goes, I think this is probably their best keyboard yet by a long shot, honestly. I also own the original GMMK and the GMMK2, so I have had a little experience with their boards, and this one honestly blows the last two out of the water. Is it pricey? Yes. Is it worth it? I think so. As many of you probably are aware, keyboards can get quite expensive, especially if you start getting into the custom market. So even this may not compare to full custom boards, but for a custom aluminum board, gasket mounted, whatever kind of switches you want, take out all the guesswork of building it yourself for $380 isn't bad at all, to be honest. So yeah, real cool option. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you got any questions, feel free to throw those in as well. I'll do my best to answer anything I can. And I appreciate you watching. Have a good one.